Let's speak live now to Shadow Assistant Defence Infrastructure Minister and Liberal Senator for South Australia, Leah Blyth. Thanks so much for your time on Sky News this morning. We'll get to those domestic issues just in a moment, but I wanted to get your view on the escalating tensions, if I could, in the Middle East. Many countries evacuating non-emergency embassy staff, including Australia, and many countries urging citizens not to travel to the region for holidays or other trips. How concerning is that?
It is always concerning when situations escalate internationally, and obviously focus is on making sure that Australians are as sort of lightly impacted as possible. It is problematic. The Middle East has had tensions for some time now, and what we want to see in that area is a de-escalation rather than an escalation again. I'm old enough to have remembered the Iraq War and Afghanistan, and in fact, my husband served in operations there. So, it is never something that I take lightly when you look at escalating tensions, because we have to think about what the impact is of that on Australians, but also globally, what that means for our national security.
Yeah, and Senator, without getting too philosophical, I know there's plenty of young people watching out there, watching the news, thinking, the world is sort of burning. We've seen the outbreak in violence between Pakistan and Afghanistan escalate to all-out war, according to the Pakistani Foreign Ministry. Should people be as concerned as some of the news headlines make out?
You never want to incite panic amongst people, but I think it is always something serious when countries are threatening each other, and we have the United States is certainly it's been interesting in what it has been doing lately, but I think for us it's a matter of making sure that Australia is protected, and certainly in my role as Shadow Assistant Defence Infrastructure, what I'm looking at is what are the capabilities that Australia has now, and while the coalition gives bipartisan support to AUKUS, we really need to be looking at what our defence capabilities are today and tomorrow, not a decade or so into the future. So that's what concerns me with this, is how ready is Australia to defend itself? How much have we got that is a deterrent to others who may wish us harm? And I think that is what I am focused on. And it is always, unnerving when you see escalations happen around the globe.
Yeah, really interesting point, and one that I'm sure, unfortunately, we'll get another chance to talk about in the weeks and months ahead. Of course, most people in their daily lives are just trying to juggle the cost of living crisis and make their lives a little bit better. Connected to that has been one of the big political talkers this week around negative gearing and the capital gains tax. Do you feel those policies need changing?
This is a huge spending government, and we are seeing spending outside of the pandemic at record levels in the last 4 decades. So it sort of makes sense to me that the government's running out of money, so they're going to go after hardworking Australians, mum and dads, to try and make up the nearly $1 trillion deficit that we've got. So, I don't think that is the answer. I think we've got to get our economy moving here in Australia. And by taxing Australians, I have never seen a country that has successfully taxed itself into prosperity. That just doesn't happen. So I am watching what Jim Chalmers is doing quite closely and with grave concern, because I think they are just reaching into the pockets of hardworking Australians, and I think that is a misstep on their part.
The Labor government is saying they're not going out for mum and dad and ordinary Australians. They're going out for the generationally wealthy who are lucky enough to have easy access to properties.
I suppose for me, at what point in Australia did we become the nation that we're going to tax people who work hard? I'm part of the Liberal Party. We believe in reward for effort, and that is something.
I think the argument is that it wasn't effort to kind of be on the property ladder and have 2 or 3 inheritance, extra homes that are bringing in rental income. For those who are in the current generation starting in the workplace, it's just almost like an insurmountable obstacle to get on that housing ladder.
to get a house is impossible for young people, and my eldest is 18 years old, and I sort of despair at how she will get into the housing market. But I still don't think that means we should be punishing people who have worked hard. This is not the kind of country where we're going to sort of be like Robin Hood. So I think it is about making sure that we are still providing incentive for that hard work and that effort. And I think this is a cheap shot by the Labor government to try and grab some more money for their $1 trillion deficit. It will make very little to no difference, and this is what the experts are saying, to housing supply. So if they are doing this to improve housing supply, that is not going to happen. All they're going to be doing is, people invest in property. They're the ones that put their own capital at risk. And I would say to Jim Chalmers, are they going to back people that are putting capital in if it goes the other way for them? Will there be huge deductions on the other side? Or are we just going to punish people that take risks and do well?
OK, I'll try and put those questions to them when I get the chance. Senator, should the review into the Liberal Party's election defeat be released?
I am a member of the federal executive. I still sit as president of the division here in South Australia. And without divulging conversations that were happening, I don't believe it should be released. I think the Liberal Party needs to be focused on moving forward. I am acutely conscious that we have an election here in 21 days. And I think the Liberal Party talking about itself any longer is not helpful to anybody. We've got to focus on holding Labor governments to account right across the country and fighting for, hardworking Australians. We've been too focused on ourselves for too long, and it's time to move forward, in my view.
OK. We shall leave it there. Senator Leah Blyth, we really appreciate your time on Sky News. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alex.